There's nothing less happening than major war crimes.
President Biden promised to make Moscow pay for its brutality, today rolling out another round of harsh economic penalties.
Just in 1 year, our sanctions are likely to wipe out the last 15 years of Russia's economic gains.
The U.S. banned all new investment in Russia by Americans, blocked assets from two of Russia's largest banks from the American financial system, and targeted Kremlin officials and their relatives. The U.S. also sanctioned Vladimir Putin's adult daughters, Maria Putina, a scientist, and Katerina Tikhanova, a former acrobatic dancer, both billionaires living in Russia and rarely seen in public. The U.S. also leveled its first criminal charges against a Russian oligarch today, Konstantin Malofeyev, accused of evading sanctions. Millions of his assets in the U.S. seized.
These oligarchs and their family members are not allowed to hold on to their wealth in Europe and the United States and keep these yachts worth hundreds of millions of dollars, their luxury vacation homes, while children in Ukraine are being killed, displaced from their homes every single day.
But the sanctions so far have not targeted Russia's energy sector, the country's biggest moneymaker, and the ruble is now back to its pre-invasion worth. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky dismissed the tough rhetoric around sanctions today and criticized world leaders who still think that war and war crimes are not something as horrific as financial losses. Meanwhile, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the war and the sanctions are causing economic pain around the world.
Russia's invasion disrupted the flow of food for millions of people around the world and caused prices to spike.
Well, this is not new. We've seen this in places like Syria in the past. I think that the primary message here is that, first of all, Vladimir Putin won't be able to hide his money with his closest relatives, and more importantly, that they're not immune. Putin, I think, has valued the privacy of his family. In fact, Russian media are not even allowed to talk about his daughters. They're not allowed to use their first names. So he's done everything that he can to keep these people out of the public eye. This was, I think, a very deliberate move on the part of the administration to make it clear to Putin that he can no longer hide them or hide his wealth. And so I think he will likely not be happy about this. What his response is another question.
Well, sanctions have been impacting Russia's economy and its citizens, but they've not persuaded Vladimir Putin to end his invasion of Ukraine. Why do you think that is?
Well, sanctions take a long time to bite. And part of the problem here is that oil is the primary means of revenue for Russia. The sanctions that we have in place, that perhaps also added by the Canadians, the UK, and some other countries, have made it more difficult. Perhaps it's taken 10%, maybe a 10% bite out of those oil revenues. But we really need to start to see them hit in places like Germany, the Netherlands, China, India, and these are countries that have not yet made the decision to join sanctions. So U.S. sanctions will not work unilaterally. This will require a campaign. It'll be important for the Biden administration to not lose sight of that and to continue to lobby these countries and to perhaps find other means to supply them with energy in exchange for them joining this global sanctions regime.